Okay, so before we start this video off, I just want to mention, go follow my Instagram. I post daily stories on trades and all my videos on here. This will also link you to my free Discord and all my links. Once you get here, all my links in here, then you can press Discord and courses. Once you get to my Discord and courses, it'll bring you up here, and then all my pricing and everything's linked in here. But let's get started. If you were to go from the high of September, we have a 50% Fibonacci retracement over here from the highs to the low. And you can see we hit that 50% perfect. Bears stepped in right where they needed to be. Once they stepped in, we have a big bearish engulfing candle. So we struggled for 3 days to really keep it above this 50% Fibonacci retracement. We brought price down almost 100 points. And if you were to come to a 4-hour, you can see a perfect touch over here. We failed to sustain the touch over here. We came back, we tested it. I also mentioned in the Discord, this is a big level right here, 44.05. If you were following the prints on times and sale or any kind of heat map or anything like that, you'll know that 44.05 is a big area where a lot of volume was coming in, not just buying, but also selling. So I stated if we could break this trend line and we were to come to the 44.05 area, I would be interested in shorting it. And that's exactly what we did. I believe we passed it by 3 points for maybe 3 minutes or 5 minutes or something like that. And then we came all the way down. Now for this week coming up, I will be also keeping this trend line here to see if we can come back to it. Because we are getting some support in this area over here. If you get down to a 1 hour now, you can see that we're just wicking the whole way over here. So I expect some upside. If we get an upside, I'll realistically look to possibly short in this area right here, 44376. So I would be looking at a play coming up to here. Either passing this resistance by a couple points, maybe just to here, and then I'd be looking for a down play even farther like that. Test this area again over here because this is where all these wicks were holding, and then to go down even more. So I'd look for something like this. Now, of course, I never just make one scenario. We could always come up and test the trend line again. This could act now as support also. So we would test the trend line, come down to support, and pass into supply over here. Like I said, this is a possible scenario going on. I would really depend on VIX futures. If we see a drop anywhere under this level over here, I'd be interested in taking the market long into supply. So if this pans out like this, with VX going like this, I would be interested in a long position, claiming above this level into this supply zone. Now, if VX holds its position and we come to these wicking areas right here, we come like this, up like this, and we pass this level here, this would be my key level right here. If we can pass this, I would be interested in taking the market then short into this demand zone. You can see on the 1 hour, we just missed supply by about a point over here when we came down, which happens pretty often on a 1 hour supply zone. We'll usually miss it by a point to 2 points. I find more often a 2 hour or a 4 hour, if it can map out, that it will come into the zone perfectly. So like I said, I'll be interested in that setup or this setup like this. I am more on the bearish side, but it all depends on the whole war situation and the news that comes out. When stuff like this happens, the market can go either which way. But the fear of everything, and with VIX going up crazy and coming into this zone too, it touched it perfectly with these peaks, if you noticed. This is a zone that I mapped out about 5 days ago. As you can see, We touched, came into these zones every time, and we failed. Now if you just drag this here, you can see it has the same confluences as these. Every time we touch it, it will get weaker. Judging by all this war stuff, we'll come down a little bit and pass it. Now if we pass this peak, we have this one to worry about. But I do think we have overall bearish sentiment. It currently is Sunday at 6:20 p.m., so there's about another 15 hours until market opens, so there will be a lot more accumulation here. I'm going to take that into perspective when I make my pre-market plan, obviously, but this is the general perspective that I think is going to happen. We're going to stay in this zone somewhere unless we have some crazy news, and it'll just be something like this. Or possibly this. If we end up rallying or holding this area, I would be very, very interested in a highly likely short play where we touch the inverse of this trend zone in supply in this area. I would look to take the inversion as in that we'll come above it in this supply area, so like basically just in this area somewhere, and I would look to take it short all the way down. If we come into this area and we start showing weakness, I would realistically take one profit at this level, one at this one, and then the next one would be here. So I would swing this. About 20 points first take profit, 50 second, and then look for over 100 on the third take profit. Same thing with NQ here. We popped on the inversion of this. So we popped over here, we held it, we came up almost touching this one perfectly. Couldn't sustain this area, and we dropped down. So I'm going to cross this one out of my list, but I'll still keep this one just in case we end up rallying with ES and touching this, see if we can fail and come down. We are getting a sort of higher low in this area though. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right here. So especially if the market is looking good for longs, I will almost always take longs on NQ because it does look a lot better than ES. The past 2 to 3 months, always on the day, NQ is stronger 90% of the time. We'll just update this right here. 2-hour zone. So you can see first touch, second in demand again. Perfect to the absolute dollar right here. We touched again and we rallied one more time. Now I usually don't chart NQ on TradingView, so that's why we have to update these right now. Now when I see good confluence of a 4-hour here and I come into a 1-hour here and I could still hold it right here, I will always just go like this and put a double supply in there. So I'll always take this into account, but when we start to get into the second supply zone, I'll look for that as a bigger confirmation if I start to see selling in this area rather than just touching this area. And like I said before, again, over here, we have a lot of wicks holding this area. So even on NQ as the same thing as ES, if we were to come down here and pass this wick right here, this one right here, with VX showing strength, weakness in Apple, Tesla, all that, I would 100% expect to touch into this demand right here. If VX does not hold its level, or we top again right here, while NQ or ES breaks the bottom wick, I would not short it whatsoever. I would expect a short squeeze. So I would expect this to happen. Just come underneath the wick, and then we're going to short squeeze everyone out, and we come up into supply like this. Same thing over here. If we pass this, come all the way down, get underneath this wick while VX is showing weakness or into that supply, I expect no doubt that we would rally right into the supply like that. As you can say chance or anything like that, it just happens to line up. This does not just happen to line up 4 or 5 times in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can even count this as 5 and then 6. These are supply and demand zones. It's not just chances that it ends up there. So if we can't pass this area, I do expect a short squeeze while coming down into here. If there's strong buying on VIX with weakness and we pass this area, there's zero doubt that we're just going to keep on falling. So like I said, I'll be checking in tomorrow morning. If we can hold this area and keep on coming higher, VIX keeps on falling how it usually does, and VIX just takes a normal path down just like this. So if you can't picture it, I'll put it into perspective for you. If we can just keep on slowly climbing like this, come up into the zone, I would be interested in taking a long after this pass into this zone, and then a short breaking trend line to come back down. If VIX comes up into the supply again, we touch and we drop, I would expect this to happen. Break the lows right here and right into supply. Now scenario number 3 would just be a simple here and keep on going up. If this happens, I expect this. So those are the 3 main scenarios I'm looking for. Again, 4376 is a key consideration. Now, if you're part of the Discord, you can see that the numbers that I call out pre-market hit to the cent and then move. That's just in my experience of reading the tape and seeing where big buy and sell orders come in. Now, I do give a little bit of info on all these numbers that I usually have marked out, just like these, in the free Discord, but in the paid version, I give exactly how I get them and in-depth scenarios on what I expect to happen when we touch or if we move past them. Everyone knows that Apple is a key indicator in the market, so what I expect for ES, I expect almost exactly to happen for Apple. I would love to see a touch of this trend line that I have going on over here and us fail it for then ES to come even lower on that scenario. Or if we were to come up, how I'm expecting ES to come into supply, if everything looks good, I would like a perfect touch of the trend line and then up into the supply. Also, if we touch this trend line anywhere in this area, we will be in this little demand zone I have going on right here, which I'll mark that out for you right now. So there would be a great confluence with this trend line and demand if we touch it anywhere in this area right here. Now, like I said, if we fail this trend line and we also fail demand, I expect price to come down into this area of 175 and 176 area. As far as Tesla goes, we previously broke through this wedge and we couldn't sustain. Now we're holding just below these lows of this big wick right here. So if we end up selling off even more, I expect a gap fill in this area down here to 247.50. If we can just short squeeze these people out, I would expect 254 area to hit, no problem. If you expand it, you can see we have a mini supply zone right here. I'll even mark that out for you guys. Also another one in here, which is a bit bigger, so I'll look to go down to the 30, and it is the exact same size, so I would keep it at that. Even with this one, yeah. Now just like that one, we have a supply right here. See how it looks on the 1 hour. It's a bit big for my liking on the 1 hour, so we'll keep it to the 30. And again with this one right here. Nice and easy. I've noticed with Tesla, demand zones are a little bit harder to mark out than supply zones. But we have a big gap over here off of this level. So I hope this review and little recap of the market and what I'm expecting this week helps. Don't forget to follow my Instagram, my YouTube. You can even DM me if you have any questions. I answer all my DMs. Again, if you're interested in the Discord or the course, don't forget to click my link here. I'll bring you over here. Everything is self-explanatory. You can DM me if you have any more questions. And that is all for this week's recap.